Welcome to the full moon in Aries. We are now halfway through our Libra cycle. That has actually been a very Mars-influenced Libra cycle, even though it's always a cycle ruled by Venus. Because for this new moon in Libra, for which we are now at the halfway point with the full moon in Aries, we had a new moon conjuncting Mars. And Mars is the ruler of the full moon in Aries. And for this full moon today, Mars is making both a trine to Jupiter and a square to Pluto. And we are breaking cycles and we are standing in our power, and the divine masculine energetics and frequencies are waking up. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. My name is Aubrey, and this is my energetic report for for the full moon in Aries that is occurring this morning, October 20th, coming in at exactly 10:58 a.m. at 27 degrees, 26 minutes of Libra and Aries. That is where the exact opposition of the sun and the moon will occur via their degree placement, and that is what gives us a full moon, when we have the sun and the moon in exact to the minute opposition to each other, and that's what we have going on today. So let's get into it. Let's dive right into these energetics. We have reached a climactic point in our astrological lunar cycle this year. The tables are turning, things are changing, power dynamics are shifting, and again, the entire themes of this whole full moon are breaking cycles, standing in our power, coming back into our power. Let's talk about why. First and foremost, you guys, like I said, we have a full moon in Aries today because the sun is in Libra. Libra and Aries are oppositional signs to each other. So when we have the sun in Libra and the moon comes to the same degree in Aries, we get our full moon, okay? Libra themes, partnerships, relationships, financial circumstances, what gives us pleasure, what makes us feel safe and secure and balanced. It also rules balance, weighing of the scales, and justice generally is represented through the sun in Libra, a Libra cycle. Now, what does Aries represent? Aries is all about taking action, being the leader, being the pioneer, being the one who's like large and in charge and at the forefront of things, really being assertive and taking action, is represented by a moon in Aries. And remember, Mars is a very, very powerful influence right now and has been throughout the course of this Libra cycle. The Libra cycle, the new moon in Libra, is typically characterized by very Venusian themes, but because of Mars's placement for the Libra cycle this year in a conjunction to the new moon, while Venus was simultaneously in Scorpio, which is Mars's sign, there has been this blending and this fusion of masculine and feminine energies that have really characterized this Libra cycle, which is unique for a Libra cycle. And so now, as we're approaching the full moon, this Mars energy is just being emphasized and amplified in like really profound ways. Let's talk about degree placements for a minute. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I am so happy and excited to have you here. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Sabian symbols, what they are is a group of symbols that describe each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. Whenever there is a planet at a specific point discharging a specific degree, making an aspect, we can look to the Sabian symbol, read the symbol, and it gives us more information about why this aspect is actually taking place in the context of this grand unfolding cosmic drama, cosmic story that is constantly and perpetually unfolding and carrying us through time and space. So I always like to look at the Sabian symbols because they just give us more information about why any aspect is happening right now in the context of where we're going energetically. So that is my disclaimer on the Sabian symbols before I jump right into talking about them in my report. So first off, because we know we are in the Libra cycle and we know that Mars is a major theme of this cycle, of this full moon today, because he is the ruler of the full moon. He is making some very big and potent aspects with in simultaneous to this full moon today. So we really need to understand what Mars is talking about. And Mars is placed today for this full moon at 24 degrees of Libra. And that Sabian symbol is a third wing on the left side of a butterfly. And this is talking about unexpected options, unexpected opportunities, things that we didn't realize were possible becoming possible. Venus today, for this full moon, this midpoint in her Libra cycle is at 15 degrees of Sagittarius. And that Sabian symbol is a groundhog looking for its shadow on Groundhog's Day. And so when I put these energetics together, just to sort of open our full moon energetics today, it's really talking about that we are breaking cycles through putting energy into what we never thought possible. The third wing on the left side of a butterfly, the unexpected third option, it's there to help us save ourselves if we can only see it and if we can only realize it's there. So Mars, by the position that he is in today for this full moon, who he is ruling is talking about unexpected potential and unexpected options coming to us that actually are helping us to break out of this Groundhog's Day of cyclical patterns and behaviors. Another thing that is happening, and I want to state this up front because I feel like this is playing into what is going on with this full moon in a lot of big ways. Like I said in the beginning, Mars for this full moon, who he is ruling in Aries today, is currently in a trine to Jupiter and also a square to Pluto for this full moon. This is an awakening, you guys, and a rebirth of the divine masculine frequencies. And this is coming through during the Libra cycle, ruled by the divine feminine, in order to help us break cycles that are actually trying to liberate us into recognizing our own value, our own internal value, our own self-worth, our own self-love, and the actual power that that represents once we come into this reawakening and new relationship with the truth of our inner value, Venus and Sagittarius. That is what we are moving towards. But there's just this definite theme because of the placement of Mars today in this Libra cycle with this full moon coming in, that is really, to me, talking about a reawakening, a reinvigoration, a remotivation of the masculine, the divine masculine energy, the divine masculine dynamic collectively happening right now. And this process is actually what is causing these cycles to be broken and these shifts in power dynamics, these changes and these shifts that are happening in power dynamics right now. It really has a lot to do with this awakening that is happening and this expansion that is happening in terms of what is going on with the divine masculine energies, the divine masculine frequencies within all of us right now in the context of this full moon in Aries, in the context of this Libra cycle that was conjunct Mars, in the context of this entire astrological new year that was fundamentally talking about breaking toxic cycles and coming back into our power as a result of re-acknowledging the self-worth, the self-value, and the self-love that we have inside. So we're at the halfway point of the year. The Libra cycle marks the halfway point in the year since we began with the new moon in Aries. And here we are at the halfway point of the Libra cycle. And what is this doing? It is empowering the divine masculine in order to liberate and free the divine feminine to align with the truth of our self-worth, our self-love, and our internal value, and therefore the inherent power that that generates within us to pursue a new path in alignment with our truth, our authenticity, and what really resonates with the truth of our heart, okay? So where we're at right now, this full moon cycle is really actually activating the energy that has been unfolding throughout the course of this entire year. And again, we are at the midpoint of these energies. So there's a lot that I want to say about this full moon. I wrote a lot about it, so I'm sorry if I seem like I'm reading more than I usually do in my report today, but I just had a lot coming through. But Ultimately, okay, there are actually like two stories going on as well today simultaneously as we have this full moon playing out. There is a story that's being told by the actual aspects and the transits that are in effect, and then there's another story that's being told symbolically. And what this is all really boiling down to is another aspect that we have present for this full moon today, and that is Mercury, who has recently gone direct in an opposition to Chiron, really talking about a very strong need to come into mastery over our minds, over our thoughts, and acknowledge the power that our thoughts really do play in manifesting our reality at this point where we are right now. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I just kind of wanted to state near the beginning of this report as I'm starting to move through that there are two different stories sort of going on simultaneously together in the context of these energetics today. It's like we sort of have some bad news and some good news, but the aspects are really giving us some good news. And they're really talking about this ultimate expansion and liberation of these divine, masculine, spiritual warrior frequencies that are breaking free from any circumstances that have been keeping them from being able to come into their true power. And this is happening primarily in relationships, in dynamics with authority figures, in partnerships, and in financial situations as well because of the Libra themes, okay? We are being called to be more assertive and stand up for ourselves in relationships, partnerships, financial situations right now so that we can begin to head down a new path more in alignment with our truth and authenticity. And, the flip side of this, though, is any upheavals or conflict that arises as a result of us making these choices and moving down this path. So, all right. Number 2 today, assertiveness, okay? And leading the way in partnerships and relationships. Like I just said, breakups and breakdowns, something we can expect this cycle as a result of shifting power dynamics based on a new realization and a recognition of internal value and what will and won't be accepted by us anymore. We are defending our realized inner value and the power that gives us that we never knew that we had. The third wing on the left side of a butterfly, Mars's placement today. We're recognizing, we're seeing things that we never knew even were a part of our experience or even existed or could be possible, but we are acknowledging them and we're noticing them today with these energetics and with this full moon moving forward. And this third option, this new realization, this is what is actually breaking these cycles for us. Venus at the groundhog degree today. Venus and Mars, the masculine and the feminine, are both supporting each other in this process right now of helping us to realize the truth of what we hold inside and the power that it represents for us in our individual lives and the shifts and changes that this realization is causing in our external circumstances, in our relationships, in our partnerships, in our financial arrangements, in our experiences in our lives. Back to Mercury and Chiron, because again, this is another major theme of this full moon that we have going on today. Major themes of wisdom gained through experience and how that changes our perception of reality. This is another thing that is going to be very relevant over the next couple weeks while we move into our new moon in Scorpio that is going to be coming up. Mentally reflecting on our experiences, specifically where we've been wounded financially or in relationships or in partnerships or in childhood, with Chiron being activated, generally just where our heart has been wounded and what we've had to learn to heal it and how we've grown and healed and what we've learned along the way from that and what we understand about our life and our reality now as a result of this wisdom that we've gained through this healing experience, transmuting our victimhood into a sense of self-empowerment and self-mastery and control over our minds and our thoughts. Mercury having just gone direct in opposition to Chiron, again in Libra, talking about this Libra cycle, is really trying to help us elevate the way that we're thinking, the way that we're perceiving ourselves and our circumstances and our reality, and helping to bring us to a greater level of mastery over our own thoughts. Because again, like I said, going through this full moon phase of this Libra cycle, our thoughts are going to be very important, because we want to make sure that we are maintaining the trajectory that we started now. Okay, this shift in perspective, though, that we're having as a result of Mercury in opposition to Chiron, like I said, is giving us more mastery over our thoughts and words, which is playing a role in the big energies today. Okay, that is, it's pushing us towards this breaking cycles and taking back power and mental transmutation that is feeding this as well. It's like, it's not just that Mars is the ruler of this full moon and in the trine to Jupiter and in the square to Pluto. And, we have this fusion of masculine and feminine. It's not just that is causing these shifts and changes. It is also what is going on with us on a mental level, what is going on inside of our minds, and the transmutation and the evolution and the transcendence mentally that we are going through right now based on the wisdom that we've gained from our experiences. This is also fueling the fire. Gosh, tons of fire energy, all of this Mars energy to help us break these cycles, realize our truth, realize our worth, and stand in our power. There's a cognitive faculty that is going on alongside this as well, and that is being brought to us through Mercury in the opposition to Chiron alongside this full moon today. Wisdom from experience, helping us to think more clearly and express ourselves in the actions that we take now, Mars, to be more assertive and stand in our power and try something new. So that is definitely another facet of this energy that we have going on today as well. Overall, just in terms of how the energetics are playing out, energy is very high. It's actually hard to imagine energetics that would provide like higher levels of energy than what we have going on right now. An Aries full moons are always the highest energy of the month, while Mars, ruler of the Aries full moon, is in a trine to Jupiter, the biggest planet, the planet of expansion, the planet that makes everything grow. Energy is running very high right now. And with all of this Mars energy, this also can boil down to conflicts, aggression, anger, and fights being emphasized and highlighted as well. But honestly, because there's such an emphasis on the spiritual warrior and the divine masculine in the way that this Mars frequency is resonating, I'm just reading it more so as people being motivated to fight Aries, Mars, for justice, Libra cycle, truth, Mars in trine to Jupiter, the ruler of truth, and freedom, Venus in Sagittarius. And remember, we are in the Libra cycle. Venus is the ruler of Libra. What Venus is doing right now is talking about what is going on with this entire cycle. And with Venus being in Sagittarius, talking about this Groundhog's Day, the groundhog looking for its shadow, we are breaking out of cycles that have kept us running around in circles, chasing our tail, sabotaging ourselves, creating the same circumstances and dynamics over and over and over that have been keeping us out of the truth of our love, the truth of our value, and our freedom to express ourselves in alignment with that. Venus in Sagittarius, looking for true love, true value, truth, and liberation in all things of the heart, okay? That is what all of this is working towards. And I just really feel like that is more so how this Mars energy is going to be operating, is in terms of the spiritual warrior aspect of it and fighting for justice, fighting for truth, fighting for freedom, and fighting for the authentic nature of the heart. Venus and Mars are so intertwined in this cycle. The divine feminine, divine masculine are very much so supporting each other and working towards each other's purposes. We are being divinely supported, and things are not truly as they appear right now, though, guys, on the ground, okay? And I'm going to move into this in a minute. I said there was sort of two stories of going on in the energetics today, and I'm finishing story one, and then I'm going to move in and talk symbolically about story two that we have going on. But to preface it, we need to understand that we are being divinely supported. Things are not truly as they appear on the ground right now, and we really need to be putting our faith and trusting the unseen at this point in time. more so than necessarily what we are seeing in front of our eyes, okay? We need to not attach to the apparently like seen things at this point in time because things are not as they appear. Okay. Story number 2. All right, so we know story number 1 is all about this inspired divine masculine energy that is breaking through cycles, that is standing in its power, that is shifting and changing power dynamics so that we can be liberated to come back into alignment with the truth of the authenticity, the value, and the love that we hold inside, and be liberated to experience life along those lines in alignment with that. Now, the flip side of the story, we have the sun and the moon for their position of the full moon today. 28 degrees of Libra, the Sabian symbol that is being discharged for the sun for the full moon today. A man alone in deep gloom, unnoticed, angels are coming to his aid. And then the position of both the moon and the earth today in direct polarity to the sun, 28 degrees of Aries, again, ruled by Mars. This Sabian symbol is a large, disappointed audience. Not gonna lie, I absolutely don't love the placements of the degrees for this full moon. This is where this Mercury Chiron opposition really comes into effect for us this cycle, and we really need to become the masters over our own thoughts and our own perceptions, because that is what is giving us strength and power to persevere through what may be a rather difficult and discouraging next couple of weeks, okay? Over this next couple of weeks, despite the beautiful aspects that we have going on today, you may be feeling like you can't go on at some point and you don't know like what to do. You may be feeling stuck in a situation, and it's a situation that possibly you know that you don't want to be in. You know it's out of alignment for you. You know it's against the direction that you're trying to move, but you don't know how to get out of it. And like there is no way out. But we have to remember, there is a way out. No matter how bleak or disappointing or discouraging things may appear on the ground. Remember, the earth is at a large disappointed audience for this full moon, talking about things on the ground. No matter how disappointing things may seem on the ground right now, we have to remember there is a third wing on the left side of the butterfly. That is what Mars is saying. That is what the spiritual warrior and all of this Mars energy is indicating for this cycle. So anything is possible. There is another way. There is another way out, okay? We may not see it right now, but there is a third path, there is a third option, and anything is truly possible if we can have faith and if we can believe. We may feel even like some desperation or, like I said, disappointment with the current state of things, or trapped even over this next couple of weeks. But universe is working. Angels are coming to our aid. Remember the degree of the sun for this full moon today. A man in deep gloom, unnoticed, angels are coming to his aid. We are being divinely supported, even if we don't feel like it, even if it's not apparent to us right now, even if we don't notice it going on. We are being supported, protected, and assisted over this next couple weeks. We are truly being blessed with brand new opportunities as well, as long as we can not align with our fears. Remember, right now, the black moon, which rules our collective shadow side and our fears, is at 11 degrees of Gemini. That degree is freshly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience. If we can get out of our fears, there is a whole frontier of new opportunities that is waiting for us to pioneer, moon in Aries, and move forward into. But it is dependent on how well of a job we are able to do with holding to our faith, controlling our thoughts, and not allowing ourselves to be controlled by our fears. Okay, another thing that we have going on in conjunction with this full moon today, and by conjunction, I don't mean the actual aspect, I just mean like simultaneous. I feel like I've said simultaneous so many times in this report, I wanted to try a different adjective, but I don't mean to be confusing with conjunction. But anyways, simultaneous to this full moon today, we also have the north and the south nodes of the moon changing degrees from 3 degrees of Gemini to 2 degrees of Gemini. The north node, this is our collective path forward. This is the evolution that our collective human soul is trying to take to move us forward in the direction of the age of Aquarius at this point in time. And the south node, this is everything that we need to leave, let go, release, and move on from so that we can move in this new direction. 2 degrees of Gemini, where the north node is moving today. This is destiny, you guys. Santa Claus furtively filling Christmas stockings. And then we have the south node, what we need to move on from. The ocean covered with white caps. With the north node moving to 2 degrees of Gemini on the day of this moon, this full moon, even with all the disappointment and despair that's being indicated by the symbolism, this is telling us that we have gifts and blessings coming to us. We are destined to have our Christmas stocking filled. And because of the actions that we are taking now, Mars in trine to Jupiter. Jupiter is also the Santa Claus planet, represents and resonates to the frequencies and the archetypes of Santa Claus, while we have the north node moving to a degree, specifically speaking about Santa Claus furtively filling stockings. Because of the actions we are taking now, Mars in trine to Jupiter, once we release the fear of having to navigate choppy waters, the degree releasing the fear, releasing the black moon, and releasing the fear of having to navigate that ocean covered in white caps, the degree of the south node right now, what we need to release and move on from. We are learning to open to and receive abundance. We have a Christmas stocking that is just waiting to be filled for us. Once we can release and move on from the fears of traversing these choppy waters and what may be a difficult path ahead, we have a whole new world lined up for us, and it's filled with gifts and blessings and abundance. If we can just act in alignment with our truth, our authenticity, what we truly need to liberate ourselves, and not align with our fears. Things may feel, like I've said, things may feel gloomy and bleak right now, but Christmas is coming if we can only put faith in God instead of putting faith in fear. Realize miracles are possible. The third wing on the left side of a butterfly. There is always an unexpected option, and it is our job now to trust God, trust our higher selves, and free ourselves to walk in alignment with that into this new frontier that has been freshly opened for us and all of the opportunities represented there. Things may seem hard and hopeless right now, but we are being supported with huge amounts of energy to stand in our power, assert ourselves, liberate ourselves, and allow for a brand new opportunity to truly align with the truth in our heart, the truth of our value, which will lead to these gifts, these blessings, this joy, this peace, and ultimately this sense of fulfillment. Now, in terms of where we may be experiencing these difficulties and these setbacks over this next couple of weeks, of course, because it's happening in Libra, this brings up themes of relationships, partnerships, financial situations, but I'm also seeing just all the Venus themes across the board. We may really be struggling with the things that give us comfort, the things that give us security, our resources, supply chains, economies, finances, again, and then partnerships, relationships, and just like the things that provide safety and security and comfort for us in our lives that we've always been used to, we may be heading into a period right now where there are some major upheavals in those things that lead us to a sense of gloom and doom and disappointment, despite all of these really beautiful aspects that we have going on and that are occurring right now. We may experience some setbacks or difficulties and perceived disappointments now, but it's testing our faith, you guys. This is really a test of our faith. And like I said, this is in terms of conflicts and disruptions and upheavals regarding all of the Venus themes. Really fighting for our safety, our security, our pleasure, our comfort, our material comforts, our relationships, and balance in those things. That may not be there this next couple of weeks, and that may be the reason why there are these more depressing symbols being described by the placement of this full moon today. But it is a test of our faith. And remember, We are riding an energetic wave right now, and it is cresting. We are at the halfway point of this astrological year, and we are at the halfway point of this lunar cycle that is the halfway point of this astrological year. It's cresting, but we have to ride the wave through the rest of this year to truly see the outcomes of the shift and changes happening now. We are halfway through this year's energetic process, and we should not allow any current disappointment or perceived failure to color our faith and hope that a new day is truly coming and a new path is truly opening for us. And we're putting in the work now. We're putting in the work, but we won't see the results of this, you guys. We won't see the results of our efforts until we get to the end of this year, of this lunar cycle. We have, this process is reaching a climax with all of this energy that's going on right now. But just because there's these shift and changing power dynamics, just because we're stepping into our power and we're breaking cycles, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything is just going to be, rainbows and magic and sunshine and fulfillment. We have a lot more left to go in this cycle before we get to the new moon in Aries of 2022. And March of this next coming year is going to be a really big time as well. So we are starting this process. We are at the halfway point. Things are cresting right now, but we are not necessarily going to see the outcomes of what is going on energetically until we move forward more so and this lunar year comes more so to a close. We're just not seeing the results of our effort right now. We are putting in the work, but the results will be, delayed to some extent. This full moon may trigger uncertainty and confusion about our dreams for the future, but we need to hold tight to our faith, our vision, and know ultimately our thoughts create our reality. So it is our responsibility to choose our thoughts wisely right now. Mercury in opposition to Chiron for this full moon. We need to choose our thoughts wisely, you guys, because they are really coloring what we can expect to transpire for ourselves personally as we move through this cycle. How are we going to see things? How are we going to view things? What's our perspective going to be? Are we going to be the victim or are we going to be the master of our reality? Which is it going to be? And that's really what this is talking about. Ultimately, we choose through our lens of perception, through our experience gained, whether we want to take the victim mindset or the self-mastery mindset. It really comes down to that. So at the end of the day, you guys, it's a very, very big and powerful and positive energetic point in time from a cosmic perspective. However, on the ground, we may experience some disappointments, some disillusionment, and some discouragement throughout the course of the next couple weeks. But it is a test of our faith. It is a test of our mastery over our thoughts. And it is our job to be responsible for our own lens of perception. So that's what I have for this new moon or for this full moon in Aries, you guys. I hope that I was able to bring some information that can give you guys some clarity about what is actually transpiring here from a cosmic perspective as we move into the age of Aquarius. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends and leave me comments. I love you guys' comments. And tune in tomorrow for my astrological outlook of the day. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.